Now, if you move,
My fat self and I'm moving. You're fine.
Yes and no, they don't.
I have not gotten to the side of that.
Getting resettled. Yes. But now you're in a home.
It's 9 o'clock and I'm calling the meeting to order. Please find a seat and quiet down. Monique, do we have a quorum?
Yes, ma'am, we have a forum.
Thank you. I did it again. We're going to have a moment of silence today. Please stand. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag.
Does anyone want to make a
Good morning.
We honor the Texas flag and pledge our allegiance to it.
Let's go down.
I apologize for not being so excited about the way the pictures are.
I know. In our, we are not all Texans, but those of you who are, shame. Dan, do you have the?
Okay, I would make a motion for approval of the minutes of the board meeting November 18th, 2017. I hope you've all had a chance to look at them. Thank you, Bill.
Anyone who has corrections or anything? Okay. All in favor? Anyone opposed?
Under the Secretary's report, we have a couple of letters. The first one is from Phyllis Giblin. Is Phyllis here today? I don't see her. It's a letter to the Community Council and to the Fort Clark Association. She writes, "It has been my privilege and honor to serve as a representative from the Community Council to the Fort Clark Historical Building Preservation Committee since 2012. New appointments are to take office on January 1st, and I am rotating off. It is healthy to have new ideas come to the committee and help preserve our beautiful Fort Clark. Thank you for the opportunity to serve, Phyllis Giblin. Not all that travel are lost." So, our thanks goes to Phyllis. I guess she served a long time, and I take this opportunity to ask for volunteers for that particular committee and any other committees to please step forward and leave your name with someone, any one of the board members, someone up the administration office. In January, there will be 2 members' terms expiring on the Historical Society, and they must come from certain sources. We need one from the Community Council to replace Phyllis, and the other one that'll be going off is Garland Young, and he's a member at large. So that could be anyone from anywhere. So
That's a Preservation Society.
it's for the Fort Clark Historical Building Preservation Committee, and would be effective January. So anyone that's willing to do that, please let us know. We'd really appreciate it. The other letter that we received was from Charles Field as acting president of the Community Council. It says, "Dear Directors, the Fort Clark Springs Community Council is asking the FCSA Board of Directors to return to the policy of not allowing member input at board meetings in any way other than the 15-minute member comment period. We would like to see a return to the previous policy of having members discuss and submit their concerns to the Community Council in writing for possible inclusion on the B.O.D. agenda at the next regular scheduled meeting. We believe this would shorten the FCSA board meetings and encourage attendance and participation at Community Council, which has always had the purpose of being the members' voice to the FCSA board, as well as providing the 501c3 link for many of the Fort's members' activities. Sincerely, Charles Field, acting president of Fort Clark Springs Community Council." I think we've read the letter now as is appropriate under the Secretary's report, and we will deal with it when the Community Council gives their report. Thank you for your letter, Charles. That concludes the Secretary's report.
Thank you. Treasurer's report.
Okay, good morning. Bank balances as of Wednesday, December 13th, 2017. Del Rio Bank's Texas Community Credit Card, $28,490.70. Texas Community Checking, $65,974.49. Texas Community Money Market, $2,564.42. Brackettville Bank and Trust, General Fund, $95,910.84. Payroll, $7,092.93. Restricted Fund, $409,346.06. Las Morris, $9,897.60 for a subtotal of $619,277.04. Fort Clark Historical Building Preservation Fund, $18,645.53. Fort Clark Hail Damage Repair Fund, $36,507.29. For a grand total of $674,429.86. Just a note, we made our last payment to the last roofer for the last bit of hail damage for approximately just about 12,400 or so, which is going to leave us around $24,000 in the storm account. So, for future hailstorms. These are the reconciled bank statement balances, and do you know what date that is?
They were for November's.
Okay, these were for November's, after the accountant reconciled the bank statements for November. Del Rio Bank's Texas Community Credit Card, $33,712.10. Texas Community Checking, $40,863.34. Texas Community Money Market, $2,564.42. Brackettville Bank and Trust, General Fund, $89,709.43. Payroll, $5,482.47. Restricted Fund, $407,482.22. Las Morris, $9,677.97, for a total of $589,491.95. Subtotals for the Preservation Fund, $18,645.53. Fort Clark Hail Damage Repair Fund, $36,507.29, for a grand total reconciled for November, $644,644.77. Bank transfers, November 2017 estimated. Bank and Trust Las Morris, 0 operating expense. Texas Community Checking, $110,000 operating expense. Bank and Trust Payroll, $68,000. Bank and Trust Restricted, 0 for operating expense for $178,000. November 2017 actual, Bank and Trust Las Morris, 0 operating expense. To Texas Community Checking, $76,710.05 for operating expense. Bank and Trust Payroll, $60,000. Bank and Trust Restricted, 0 operating expense for an actual transfer of $136,710.05. December 2016 actual, to Bank and Trust Las Morris, 0 for operating expense. To Texas Community Checking, $78,020.43 operating expense. To Bank and Trust Payroll, $64,000. To Bank and Trust Restricted, 0 for operating expense for $142,020.43. December 2017 estimated. To Bank and Trust Las Morris, 0 operating expense. To Texas Community Checking, $110,000 for operating expense. To Bank and Trust Payroll, $70,000. To Bank and Trust Restricted, 0 for operating expense, for a total of $180,000. That ends the bank transfers. I move to approve bank transfers.
I would second that motion. I have one question of curiosity. The operating expense estimate for November 2017 was, and I also see for December is the same amount, which is significantly higher than what the actual was. Were we expecting some expense, or are expecting something that didn't show up, or is this
An extra payroll in there.
Not for operating expenses, there's not.
No,
I tend to estimate high, so when we're lower, it looks good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, you did a wonderful job because it looked really good. So, all right, well, the important one is the actual, I
Yes.
guess. I was just curious on
Yes.
the
That's just,
Thank you.
that's just the estimated, and really, we are estimating what bills are gonna come in, what insurance payments are going to be due, and that type of thing by the end of the year. And it is a December, end of the year, fiscal year for a lot of businesses who are going to make sure they get all their bills to us early. So it's probably wise, but again, that's just estimated, that's not the actual payment. So at least she's honest.
Okay. The second,
Yes.
we have a second.
I second.
Yes.
We have a motion and a second to approve the transfer of funds, estimated transfer of funds. Any other discussion? All in favor? jail officers report. Mark,
Yes, ma'am,
what do you
You may remember last meeting, I spoke of the necessity for us to begin rebuilding our database. And in order to do that, the first step was to go out with confirmation letters. And we asked the outside auditor to come and assist us in doing that. He was here this last week, and the confirmation letters have gone out. The letters are asking the members to confirm their account balances as of September the 30th of 2017. I'll repeat that. Asking the members to confirm their balances as of September 30th of this year. Our outside auditor was here on Thursday. He had to be involved in every step of the process. He was involved in preparations for the printing. He was involved in the printing, in the folding of the letters, in the stuffing of the letters, in the mailing of the letters. He was there at every step of the way. So those letters have gone out, and I would suggest that the members please return them. They're very important to us. You have financials in front of you. Unfortunately, they didn't come to us until late yesterday, and when they did, and when the CPA and I were on the phone after 5 o'clock yesterday, his comment to me was, when referencing the September, the month of September, where it shows something like $82,000 deficit, he said, something's wrong. I have to look at this closer. So, take it with a grain of salt. A word about enforcement of the CC&R. It's the Architectural Committee, in cooperation with the staff, is really getting on top of enforcement of the CC&Rs. And as a matter of fact, several members have been levied the individual enforcement assessment. Some people refer to that as a fine, but of course it's just an assessment of $1,500 against several members, and they are beginning to pay. The ones that don't, of course, will probably end up with a lien against their properties. On the collection of delinquencies, this is something I hear all the time about all those massive numbers of delinquent members. I thought I might report on that. For the months of October and November, we have collected $61,000 in delinquent assessments. That's up from $31,000 last year at the same period. It's doubled. 14% of the active members, that's 294 accounts out of the 2,155 accounts, are delinquent in some amount. We look to it as being delinquent, being $73 or more. So we have 160 members, now not accounts or memberships, but 160 members are delinquent. Collectively, they owe $294,000. 160 members owe $294,000. Of that 160 delinquent members, there are 70 that we consider to be severely delinquent. 70 people severely delinquent. That means owing $500 or more. Those 70 people collectively owe $254,000. I doubt very seriously that we're going to be able to collect all of that, but we are going to pursue it, and we will collect as much as we can. A matter was brought up to me just before the meeting, and I appreciate that he did. That is having to do with water supply. There is apparently a rumor going around that the water supply is tainted. Now, I checked on that as soon as I heard it, which was a couple of weeks ago. Mr. Castilla with MUD assures me that that tainted water has to do with a person's shallow well in bracket, and it's the result, as I understand it, of some spillage or leakage. I don't know all that's involved with that, but Mr. Castilla tells me it has nothing to do with Fort Clark water. absolutely nothing to do with Fort Clark Water. So we need to dispel that rumor. On the matter of the restaurant, I'll say very briefly, before the board meeting last month, Mr. McGraw informed the board that he had decided to close the restaurant. And he said that that was his final decision. The board accepted his decision and agreed to let him phase out the operation by December 31. He chose to phase out by November 30, or to close the door November 30. And there it is. That's the long and the short of it. Mr. Sullivan might have a few additional comments on that matter.
Thank you, Richard, I do. It has been brought to my attention that there have been a number of stories circulating among the membership on why the restaurant closed. And all of the stories that I've heard are untrue. So I would like to, at least from my perspective, my point of view and understanding, set the record straight here today. I'm not going to go into great details of all the logistics of that, but the basic bottom lines. The board recognizes the benefit and the importance of having an on-site restaurant here for the membership benefits. Unfortunately, over the years, it seems to fail. But we went as far as fiscal responsibility would allow us to go in trying to make this most recent effort succeed, and it simply did not succeed financially. That's the bottom line. The initial agreement that the association had was one where we furnished the facility rent-free to Mr. McGraw, who would operate it as his own business, his own private business, with full responsibility to enjoy any profits that came about and to suffer any losses that came about. It became evident early on that even though we had been assured that the necessary capital was going to be there and available, that it was not. And it was necessary for the Fort to step up to the plate to help keep it going and finance the operation, provide the operating capital, so to speak, and to suffer the losses in an attempt to get it going, with the understanding that once it became profitable, we would be repaid for that. That agreement to help subsidize it and keep it going was extended in 90-day increments until it became, in mid-November, I believe, Mr. McGraw stated that he needed $25,000 to continue the operation and to make it profitable. At that point, the association, the board of directors, declined to put forth that $25,000 and also declined to continue providing operating capital and absorbing losses beyond the first of the year. That at that point, it would be up to Mr. McGraw to take over responsibility completely on his own. He, and he alone, made a decision to abruptly close on November 30th by not opening. And that's the facts of the matter, what happened. Mr. McGraw was not an employee of this association, and we did not interfere other than to provide operating capital and absorb losses for a limited period of time. Part of that reasoning was the fact that those losses were much less than what we had absorbed operating in ourselves, because of course Mr. McGraw was working evidently free of charge. He was not being paid because he's not our employee. So I think that gives you the basics of what happened, and we'll leave it there. Thank you.
Were you finished with your
Yes,
report?
ma'am, I had finished.
Any questions on this among the board? Okay. Moving on to the committee reports, is there an airport report?
Hi, good morning. Hope everyone's doing well. There's no snow. Well, we had quite the eventful month. We were all postured and set for our conference. And then the day before our flying was supposed to occur, we got the snow. It was, it was very crazy. But despite the snow, we still welcomed 6 airplanes and 12 pilots to the airfield, which was really cool because every one of them want to come back. 2 of them called to schedule hunts, and the remainder of them were just waiting for the next time that they'd be welcomed back. But all in all, it was really great. 3 of them stayed on the hotel here on the fort, and that garnered $250 for the fort, which was also nice. And there was nothing but positive feedback from them, so we were very excited about that. And we firmly believe that because of the weather, it really did preclude a lot of folks from flying in because it moved off to Houston, which is where everybody was pretty much coming from. So other than that, it was a really good time for the pilots. And we do, well, even though Philip's not here, we want to thank him for coming out and having his maintenance staff assist us in clearing out the remainder of the airfield so that we can have that done until the spring and just continue our ongoing maintenance.
Do you have another fly-in or open house or anything planned?
Well, we do. We have a fly-in for the pilots that didn't get to come in. We're going to do that in April. And we've also expressed to the pilots that if they want to come fly in for Fort Clark days, that they'd be able to do that. And I'm assisting on that committee. So when we figure out all the logistics for that and the weather, then obviously that will depend on what we're doing. As far as open house, we haven't talked about when we'd like to do another one, but if we do it, it's going to be in the fall when more people are here.
Okay, I hope you'll have a way for handicapped people to get around to see the airplanes. It's difficult for many people to walk, so maybe you'll have a way this time.
We will definitely look at how we can manage that. And the problem with allowing any kind of motor or anything around an aircraft.
And you don't need to let somebody else do it. You can do it yourselves. I understand.
We'll look at it, and we'll
Okay, thank you.
definitely weigh those options and see what we can do to make that happen. But are there any other questions from anyone? Awesome. Well, thank you. Have a great weekend.
Architectural committee. They just send you, don't they?
Yeah, well, nobody else shows up, so you're gonna do
I'm glad you're ready.
Oh my gosh. It's been a very quiet, slow month. We've approved 6 permits, and that's it. There were no questions about any of the permits. None had to be tabled for further information. There was one that we weren't sure about something or other, but anyway, Mr. Martinez called him that morning, found out what he needed to know, so we went ahead and approved. There's been nothing brought up on the CCNR violations for quite a while, so I guess that's going smoothly. And that's about it.
Or you're hiding, you know.
It's been quiet month. Nobody's doing much right now.
Okay, well, I can see it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Especially since we didn't know that snow was going to be.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Finance Advisory Committee.
Did you meet on Friday?
We did.
Good.
We met on Friday and had a long discussion. We discussed with the advisory committee what we're doing about getting an accurate membership count involving our auditor and our CPA and the person that's doing the coding for us and trying to straighten things out. There were concerns that we were asking the right questions of our auditor. In other words, couple of things. What do we need to actually audit our financials, and what do we need to actually run the association? They do, again, want income versus outpay. as soon as we can possibly get it, and we're going to have some financials for them after our CPA finished up yesterday. They were really happy to hear that we were moving things out of the Sunbelt system and putting them directly into QuickBooks. We talked again about priority list. Yes, we talked about the fact that we did, at the last board meeting, authorize the purchase of 2 mowers and a lift trailer to help replace some of our dying equipment. We discussed infrastructure and the new use of the restricted fund, how we changed that with our new declarations. We discussed the restaurant and the fact that they recommended, and we have done this in the past, using it as a rental venue. And in the past, we have rented out the restaurant for weddings, retirement parties, birthdays, and so forth, and we're going to start doing that again. The survey, we turned over the survey, and we were all disappointed in the number of responses for the survey. We only received 39 responses. For those who responded, thank you very much from me and from the advisory committee. I'd like to point out that means that those who did not submit are really allowing 39 people to set the priorities for how we spend our money into the future and what amenities and programs we can offer. So again, disappointed, but hopefully what we're going to do is extend that to through January 19th to see if we can't get, please don't fill out duplicates, but to see if we can't get more people to respond to the survey. So if somebody asks you about the importance of the survey, please tell them that if you don't respond, you may not get a voice in what the advisory committee recommends for what we do with our money in the future. And again, for those who did fill them out and turn them in, thank you. They actually, to be honest, the members refer to it, not me, the members of the finance committee were called it a very apathetic response, which is true. The committee also intends to give to the board of directors a strategic workshop, which is what I passed around to everyone here, is their definition of the strategic workshop. It's to work with the board to establish both short, medium, and long-term goals for the future. We've always been criticized because we've never had a plan going forward. Part of that problem has been that every time a new board was elected or a new executive officer was hired, everything would change. So it's hard to get a plan into the future unless people stay with the plan. So what they're hoping to do is provide a good, solid, sensible plan for future growth and get everybody's input on that. Now, members may attend, not participate, but attend, because it's going to be like a seminar type of a thing. But they're certainly going to be welcome to sit and listen and make notes. And then it's recommended that after the workshop, if you do have comments and suggestions, that you give them to community council so they can coordinate that and make a report to us. We set a date for the survey, hopefully, or for the workshop for January 24th and 25th. 2 days, 10 to 2 each day, because I feel it will take that long to do it. So we can discuss finalizing those dates by email, but potentially the 24th and the 25th of January. They want to identify the money makers for us, like the motel and the RV park and so forth. And again, that's why they're extending the survey to the 19th. So hopefully we'll get some more member comments about what they'd like to see in the future for the fort. Then they will want to do a second workshop in May for the newly elected board members, the new board, and then every May thereafter to bring up new ideas, to review things that are working and not working and so forth, and then just make this a yearly event. So, if you know of people that haven't turned in the survey, please have them do it. We'll make sure that we have surveys all around the fort, again, the golf course, the front gate, back in the front office,
Isn't there,
electronically.
Isn't it possible that we could put it in with the voting?
Yes.
Why not put it in?
Well, because the ballots go out when? After that.
Well, after what you're looking for, but
No, we want them by the 19th, so we have them for the workshop, and the ballots won't be out by the 19th.
Does everybody know about the survey? I have 3 people on my block that did not even know that there was a
Well,
survey.
you know, we put it on the dispatch.
website.
We put it on the dispatch. It's on our website, and it's been noticed at the meeting, and it's all over the. So let your friends know it's out there. We'll put some more out. We'll put some more out there around at all the places, and you know, sometimes you have to make a little bit of effort to go out and actually accomplish something. So, if you know people that didn't know about the survey, please tell them about it. Give them a copy. Okay? Thank you.
I'd like to discuss this in executive session, but I think that deciding to have a workshop in January out of the blue doesn't do much for me. I'd be glad to have a workshop anytime you want it, but this much, I mean, having the financial people set goals for me is not enough. There's nothing wrong with what you're suggesting. It's just that the survey isn't necessarily going to give us the goals that we want.
No, they just want the interest from the members, because the members have a right to tell us what
Well,
they would
I
like to
agree.
see in the future. They set that date so because they can attend, and they're putting this whole thing together. They're going to put the whole presentation together to give to the board. We can change those dates. They wanted to do as soon as possible so that we're prepared for after the election and the next board meets. If those dates don't match your schedule, I'm sure we can probably work on it, okay? But they went ahead and set the dates when they were available to do the presentation. So we can talk about that and work on those dates.
Okay, Dan has something to say.
I have some thoughts on that. It seems the Finance Advisory Committee is evolving into a planning committee.
Not really, Dan, it really
Well,
isn't.
please hear me out. That's what you're putting together plans and doing surveys to plan our long-term goals, our vision, our short-term goals. And that may be all right. I understand how financing ties into whatever our future plans may be. But when the Finance Advisory Committee was appointed and members were solicited for it, the criteria for that membership was some type of knowledge and expertise in financing. There may be other members that would like to be involved in planning. And I know Greg Stone resigned from the committee, has never been replaced. Maybe we need to open this committee up to a few additional members that have some thoughts and interest in planning and not just financing, or separate the two and have them work together arm in arm. Just my thoughts, Sandy.
Okay. Oh, no, didn't mean to cut you off. No, the advisory committee considers this a first step toward working with the actual financing part of it, because we need to know where we're going to know how to manage those finances. And it's pretty hard if you have no idea where you're going to go, pretty hard to know how much money you want to collect or where you want to collect it from and so forth. So
Right.
that's their basis for this. This is the first step to give them some idea about what to do with this.
I agree 100%, but it's like a train. You have an engineer drive the train and a conductor collect the fees and the tickets. It's not all done by the same.
Okay, well, let's see what we do with this and see where we go from there and give them a chance to at least do what they think is the best thing. And if we don't like the way they're presenting it, then we can change the direction of the committee.
Okay, let's move on. The golf committee, do we have?
Good morning. We had our meeting Wednesday. We did not have a quorum. We changed our time to accommodate some of the better players so they could come to our meeting. Being as we didn't have an actual quorum, what we done was pretty much discussed our two largest tournaments of the year. One of them being the Los Morris, which has drastically reduced because of other tournaments going on. People in the past got mad. The committee picked it up and is trying to build it back up. So we discussed changing the date. We discussed how we could get more players in here. We discussed the condition of the golf course. And we really didn't make any final determinations yet. When we go later into the year, when the greens and stuff can be better, we have no volunteers. People just don't want to come out and help us with spotting the balls or doing the office work or whatever needs to be done. So if comments to me were people liked it early in the year because the fact of the matter was it was the first money tournament of the year and it got everybody into that mode. But then as we get into the discussion, our greens in March aren't very pretty greens, aren't very puttable greens, let's put it that way. So we're kind of at a loss of what we're going to do. We do have a golfer from Rock Springs who's very knowledgeable in this type of thing. We've talked about adding money, maybe using part of the sponsorship money to add money to bring the people in. We've talked about giving some things away instead of like motel stays or something, instead of paying cash money for the longest drive or something like that, and just try to build up different things to entice them here, I guess. And so we plan to have another couple of meetings on this. I'd love for the fort to kind of get involved in this because the motel suffers. Of course, the bar will suffer. If we can build this up, all those things look better. So we would really like to have some input when we have these type of meetings, next month especially.
Can you use volunteers that aren't golfers?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Well, let us know.
No, gosh,
There are
yes.
a lot of us who aren't golfers who might be able to help.
Then our second biggest tournament of the year is our fall tournament, which is the Happy Cervantes tournament. So that's another one that membership that has not participated in very much. So those are the two we want to focus on this coming year.
Do you have a date for that?
I really want to have another one before the second Wednesday of next month, but I don't know if we will or not. But I can get you an email. On another note, I got a 3-year plan, and I think Sandy gave you...
I have not yet.
Oh, you have not yet. So I now have a full 3-year comparison of the golfers on the golf course. Total golfers in 2015 was 772 golfers. Total golfers in November 2016 was 789 golfers. And total golfers in 2017 was 773 golfers. On a good note, of those golfers, our guest golfers have increased from 57 in 15 to 104 in 16 and 105 in 17. Also, our tournament players have increased from 76 to 134. So the guest golfers and the tournaments bring in the money to Fort Clark other than the regular prepaid membership. So when those figures go up, your figures go up. So I think that's pretty interesting to see the amount of golfers and where the increases are coming from. monthly on October versus November. We were down in the total amount of golfers, but we had some cold weather. We've had some rain dates. We had Thanksgiving that we were shut down, but it's only 28 people. Now, stop and think at the number of people, that's just how many sign in every day. So we don't know if those are 12 holes, 18 holes, or 9 holes. That's just the amount of golfers that signed in at our pro shop to play golf. So that's pretty much what I've got. We'll try to have another meeting, but I really would like some input on the Los Morris tournament and the Happy tournament.
You said this was a 3-year collection of data? Wow, okay, very good, thank you.
And Sandy has the full reports for
My
you.
fault, I just pressed bring it today.
Okay, great.
Excuse me, thank you. I think that's a lot of work putting those figures together, and I really appreciate it. I think the rest of the board does as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Preservation, are you giving the last one today?
Morning. Before I forget, everybody I don't see before Christmas, have a happy Christmas. We had a meeting on the 13th. We awarded a contract to do all the windows on the east and west end of Seminole Hall. And then we approved to get a hold of David Mann to fix the bathrooms in the service club, and that's the men and the women's bathroom. And the work on the restrooms has already started. The work on Seminole Hall won't start till the first of the year, or after the first of the year. And I've enjoyed, I hear I'm going off, so I would like to ask the board, since the project on Seminole Hall, basically I'm ramrodding it, meeting with the contractors. I'd like to finish up that contract.
Well, Garland, you can raise your right hand and volunteer again. There's not a term limit.
I'll have to think on that, Dan.
Let me ask you about the work being done on the restrooms at the service club.
Basically, Debbie's been telling me about this for about 3 years, and when we had the arts and crafts show, I went in and used the restroom, and I thought I was going to go through the floor.
Right.
And basically, David's in there, and all he's doing is jacking up the floor underneath the restroom, supporting it, you know.
Okay.
But he's not jacking up the building. He's not leveling out the building.
Well, the reason I asked that is because the board is considering.
Well, the rest of the
permanent
building needs to be leveled,
Yeah.
you know, but the restrooms will be fine. Once you level it, it won't bother the
See,
restrooms.
I had no idea this work was taking place, so I would ask you to please coordinate with us so that we can discuss these things a bit.
Well, I'll try to remember that, but you know,
Well,
I didn't know, the reason we got on it, I didn't know whether we had rotten wood underneath the
Right.
restrooms, and basically it was just not supported properly, and it has nothing to do, the floors will still be crooked.
Garland, I spent a whole bunch of time looking under that building. I want to know that you're coordinating with
Well, we will.
Philip and so forth.
We will.
Because this is something that the board thinks is pretty important to get done right away. So if somebody is in there working on it before we get to it, that makes a difference.
In all honesty, Myrna, leveling the building up won't affect any work that we do in there, or won't affect the work to be done.
You're able, once again, I'm going to ask you to
From now on,
coordinate.
if
If you're raising
I
your
know,
right
I know,
hand and volunteering.
I know
again.
I know you brought it up at the last board meeting that you talked about leveling the service club.
Yes.
I didn't hear any approval to have it done or heard anything about it, so I assumed, and I apologize for assuming that I didn't want anybody, we're going to be using the service club during the holidays with parties. And
Of course, there's no reason that you shouldn't have gone ahead. It's just that it would have been helpful to us if you had told us ahead of time that you were going to do it.
From
Part
now
of
on.
this, I have to say that I'm partially to blame for that, because as a board liaison to that committee, I did not attend the last committee meeting. I've been not feeling the best, and I wasn't there. If I had been there, then part of my function could have been to see to it that was coordinated. So I'll take some responsibility for that.
That's good of you, but I think.
From now on, thank you, Dan.
I'm just asking coordinate with us.
Yeah,
That's good. That's
okay. Under another note of preservation, the art club is replacing all the toilets in the art studio, and we're paying for it. The art studio,
I wanted to know what you're replacing.
we're replacing the toilets.
Thank you.
They're so corroded with lime and stuff that they won't flush. And I got an emergency call from one of the artists over there, and I had to go over and wet vac the floor. So I went over and looked at them. I said they need to be replaced. So we approved the funds, and we're getting them replaced. And that's all I have to report. Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Garland.
And the roofs are done. The art studio and the fire station.
Wore up
Yes,
the silence.
I seen the trash from the roofs,
We're picking that up Monday.
and Philip was a little upset that they didn't pick it up.
He took care of it. Debbie, go ahead.
I was just wondering if we could find out when we will get some figures for the Historic Building Committee. With new projects coming up, and we haven't had financials since July.
I thought we'd had them
No,
today.
for the Historic Building.
Yeah, we did have some today. It wasn't shared with you, yes. But we just got it last night at 7 o'clock.
Okay, I just was wondering, so I'm the treasurer of that committee, and it's hard to plan stuff out if you don't know what funds you have.
We have some figures that we can probably share with you today.
Are you talking about the $18,000 figure, or are you talking about actual figures? Because according to what Randy has told Debbie when she met with him to find out how much money we should have, we've got a whole lot more than what you guys are reporting to the membership.
That number came from Randy.
May I? The $18,000 is the amount of money that is in your designated account. What Debbie is asking for is the monthly amount that is that $1 per membership that goes that is dedicated to preservation. And that's the amount of money that we need, not the $18,000 that's in that actual account, but what goes in every month to the restricted fund that's dedicated to preservation. And that's the amount that we need.
Have we asked Randy for this figure?
Yeah, yes. And
he didn't get it. Is that what you're saying?
And recall that, well, he's been kind of busy trying to get the big stuff straightened out. And if you recall, a couple of board meetings ago, we agreed that the gross membership number times $1 is the amount we're going to work at, not trying to figure in delinquencies. So we will try and get that for you, Debbie.
Recycling.
Recycling committee report will be short and sweet. We are getting very close to needing to ship a load. However, we will not be able to get a truck until after the first of the year. Recycling is closing down. I mean, the CTRA is closing from the 21st of December to the 3rd of January because China stopped accepting recyclable material from the United States. We have a huge backlog in the system nationwide. Prices are rock bottom, and pickups are slow because they don't have any place to put the stuff. U.S. businesses have not chosen to pick up and make use of the recycled products the way they used to. And as I said, the bulk of it's been going overseas. In the overseas market, mainly across the Pacific, is stopped because of a political disagreement. We have no control, none. On a better note, that check for cardboard came in and it was $5,900, and do you have the small numbers?
I don't in front of me, but it was hefty.
It was very hefty. The baler paid for itself in less than a year. Isn't it a bloody shame we didn't do this 6 years ago? Anyhow, and that is really all I have to say, except one thing. The volunteers have complained to me several times over the last few weeks that people are coming in with a mixed bag of stuff and just dumping it in the nearest box instead of separating it out as they go. I'm losing volunteers because of that, because they don't want to stand there and sort boxes to get the stuff in the right place. It's not their job. So please,
Don't
when
want
you
to
go
stick
to
our hands in
recycle,
those things.
sort.
You may not know what's in there, you know.
Exactly. It's all, every box is labeled as to what goes in it. There's a set of directions as to what goes where, posted on the wall. It isn't as if it's hidden from them. So, help the volunteers out. If you need help, they'll direct you. And I might just well stay here and do search and certification while I am. Oh, and Sandy?
I was away when this came out, but there's a survey.
Okay.
40.
There you go.
First one of the extension, yay.
All right. Now, Search and Certification Committee met and organized ourselves. And I will give you a quick rundown. We have, at present, we have 4 candidate applications received in-house. Deadlines that are important to everyone here is that a mailing list will be available for candidates based on the January 1 membership roll by January 5th. January 12th, and because we had a little bit of an upset about this last year, on January 12th, by 4 p.m., all candidate applications and resumes must be here in this boardroom.
Say that date again.
January 12th at 4 p.m. The Search and Certification Committee will be meeting. We will check them over one last time to make sure that all the information that's pertinent is there. At 5 p.m., it will be turned over to the association. As of that minute in time, nobody can put in any changes or any additional candidacies. That's it. Boom. You can turn it in any time up to then, but not after. The mailing list and or mailing labels for candidates who want to do mailings will be available from the administration on the 15th. On the 20th, that's the January board meeting, there will be a position draw here, as has happened, whenever we have an election, for placement on the brochure, and that's by, out of the hat. My number is 4. That's not changing. By the 3rd of February, we will have the executive officer, Monique. I couldn't resist. We'll have the ballot prepared, resumes, instructions to voters, pros and cons of any proposals that have nothing to do with candidates necessarily. They will be ready and printed. On the 5th, the Search and Certification Committee will meet to fold ballots and get all the materials ready. On the 5th, on the 7th, the mailing committee will stuff, seal, and mail the same day. That is addressing member concerns that ballots sit around unsealed and somebody could handle it. We're just trying to make everything be very clear, concise, and no room for concerns. The 16th of March, all ballots that are going to be counted have to have been received by the auditor. Now, a word on that. As my understanding, the Bracketville Post Office no longer postmarks the mail that goes through there. It simply is collected and it's sent to San Antonio. So please be aware that those ballots need to be mailed a little before the 16th. Otherwise, they will not be counted because they won't get to a place where they can be verified with a postmark. And the annual meeting this year is on the 31st of March. And I think that's about all.
Are you going to keep a secret as to who the four people
No,
are?
I don't think that it's necessary to keep that a secret.
Thank you.
And I'll be real happy to let you know that we have 4 candidates for the directors. Sandra Hagan and her resume. The other 3 I've got to get to. Ashley Collier, Nora Susan Hughes, and John Hope. Those are our 4 candidates as of this moment. John Hope.
There's
John Hope.
be 3 open positions, correct, Judy?
There are what?
3 open positions. Yes.
Judy, do you have that in a form that I could put on dispatch so that everyone can see that?
Yes, she
You
has
have
it.
it now? Okay, thank you.
Yes, Kathy?
America, may I just ask a question about recycling, because I'm sorry, I hate to.
Sure.
The volunteers are kind of confused, and so am I. When you want to shred, quote, computer paper, and you put it in, if it's got a little bit of color, you don't put it in with the white computer paper, it has to go with the miscellaneous junk, is that correct?
No. Shredded computer paper.
Right.
Can go in office paper. It's sorted SOW, sorted office waste.
Even though it's got a little color and everything?
Even though it's got a little color. The thing with color is magazine covers.
Okay, fine.
A lot of people here shred their magazine covers because it has their address. And they throw those in the office paper and that automatically makes it junk.
That's cool, no, it's good.
Mixed paper is getting $10 a ton, office paper is $80 a ton.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Debbie.
You said the search and certification would be doing the stuffing of the ballots and stuff. Does each candidate not still have their own?
No, that's a different committee. I think you
There are
misheard.
two different things happening. One is the certification committee is folding ballots and enclosures and counting envelopes. The mailing committee, which is 2 days later, is going to be stuffing, sealing, and mailing all of that material.
Okay.
And yes, each candidate is supposed to provide 2 people that are members of that effort.
And they'll get that information. Is there anybody else in the audience that plans to run? You get a big hand. Okay, got one more.
Mayor Perkins. Megan.
Debbie, maybe. Go ahead.
Maybe.
All right. Yes, Debbie.
Nobody else?
Don't look at me.
Been there, done that?
A lot of us that know better.
Community Council.
Good morning, everyone. This is going to be kind of long, but bear with me, I'm sorry. Okay, first of all, recap on 4 Clark Days. It's moving forward nicely. The committee met recently, and we have 75 confirmed historians will be present, and that this is going to be Sutler Sue's last time, but she's going to be retiring, so if you need regalia of some type, make sure you get it this year because it might not be available after that. We have 375 students confirmed for Friday. However, Steve tells me he's hoping for 700, and I'm sure he can get them. Okay, now speaking of Fort Clark Days, we need to revisit the request. Mr. Lawrence has had an opportunity to crunch a little bit of numbers. Is that right, Mr. Lawrence?
A little bit.
Okay, to crunch a few numbers. So let's talk about these requests now, if that's all right. What did you come up with on insurance?
Well, the insurance agent, as far as I know, is still waiting on documentation from the cannoneers. The question with the insurance is that, as I understand it, if the cannons are to be fired, the insurance may be as much as $2,500. If the cannons are not to be fired, it would be closer to $800. So there may be a difference of some $1,600, $1,700, depending on whether or not the cannons are fired. So those are questions that have to be answered. Plus, if the cannoneers have insurance and can provide documentation and include Fort Clark as an also insured, then there may be something that our agent can do.
Okay, the second part I don't know about. I know that each cannon itself carries $1 million insurance, but I don't know if that is in conjunction with the venue.
Yeah, that
Why
would
don't
be
you find,
good
why
for
don't
them.
you find out?
But we would have to be named as an also insured on
Okay.
their policy.
Okay, I'll bring that up to Allison and make sure that she puts that out and see if we can do that.
With respect.
Allison really wants the cannons, so she probably will hunt it down.
Yes, she will.
And by my calculations, the need for the motel rooms would be in the neighborhood of $1,558. RV park, a minor $153. Combined, it would be $1,700. That would be the fort's expense. And then I talked about the insurance as well. So with those things combined, we'd be in the neighborhood of $5,000 expense to the fort, and plus whatever manpower and time and a half I might have to pay.
Okay. I spoke with Mr. Lawrence yesterday on the phone a while about this, and he says, well, we have to count the rooms, we have to count the RV slots, and I'm going to take exception, which I took to him. And that is, if it's not for Fort Clark Days, those rooms and RV slots in all probability would not be used. I mean, it's like, I came in this morning, there was one pickup parked over in front of the motel, so.
He brought in a big load.
Well, we need to cost these things out, that's all I've presented to you.
Yeah, we talked about this before, and it's a valid point on both sides, I think. Okay, coming events, this is something that was brought up before at the community council, and I think it's incredible. It's already been brought up. Don't forget tonight, we have a golf cart tour of the fort's lights, starting at start line up at 6 p.m., leave by 6:30. Depending on weather. Oh, and if you're like me and you want to take a car, you may follow behind the golf cart so you can stay warm.
You also need to have lights on your golf cart, right?
Yeah, turn them off.
In other words, I can go with my lightless golf cart?
No, you can go with your lightless car, you put the lights on your golf cart. Yes, ma'am.
I thought I knew what I was saying.
I'm sorry. Okay, and then from 4 to 7 p.m. for Clark's Christmas party in the courtyard out here on the 21st. At 6 p.m., caroling at the fire pit at the RV park. Goodies will be served, but you have to cook them. That's like hot dogs and marshmallows and all of that stuff. They are working on a New Year's Eve party at Dickman Hall. Drinks will be available, snacks will be there, and Fort Clark's Jazz Band, it's not Fort Clark, Clarkson Jazz Band out of Uvalde will be providing music for that. On February 3rd, 2018, Fort Clark's Springs B.O.D. Candidates Forum will be held at the Post Theater at 10 a.m. The candidates will be given an opportunity for an opening statement, and we will have an Ask It basket in which the moderator will blindly draw questions from to present to the candidates. This will close down promptly at 12 noon, simply because we have probably, I think that's a movie day, so we have to get out of there so the movie can set up for 2 o'clock. Okay.
Would you repeat the date and time, please?
The date and time, that'll be February the 3rd, 10 o'clock at the Post Theater. And we must be out of there by 12 noon. Okay. Any other questions so far? Now we get into the saucy one. Okay, and this is on the agenda, so I don't know, do you want me to come back up here, or do we want to discuss the request from Community Council?
I'm going to surprise you and put you back in the audience, and we're going to discuss it.
Okay, thank you.
Polar Express.
For the Polar Express on the 19th.
Yes, okay, don't forget that.
Yeah, forgot that. On the 19th, we're showing the Polar Express. The school kids will be here and everybody is invited.
And also a showing at 5 and 8 for the adults that are kids.
Right. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, you can. Go with the kids. Sure. I'm sorry. I don't know.
What was that? Okay, reminding you that the Community Council has requested that the board not have any audience participation so that the Community Council can have better participation. I think we've done this before and it hasn't really worked out, but we can discuss it and let's see what the audience feels here today about whether or not they can have participation. And before I start, apparently you want to say something.
I was only to make a comment on this.
Go ahead.
Just be part of the discussion.
Yes, please.
I'll participate.
Since you're on the board, you get to be first.
Thank you. I'm sympathetic to the Community Council. However, I believe that it's the way it's been handled has worked pretty nicely, and that the audience should be allowed participation and to make comments on items as they come forward, as long as it doesn't get too lengthy and too out of hand, which it has not, for the most part at least, been handled well. The part of the problem going to Community Council, some people maybe feel that they can put forth their own positions better than someone else can do it for them. And the fact is, the Community Council meets, in my understanding, the Saturday before the board meeting. The agenda for the board meeting comes out Wednesday morning, and it has the action items that may be items that members have great interest in and would like input on before we vote and before we consider them. And it's too late to go to the Community Council with them then. Plus, they may have questions that need to be answered by the board. So, kind of laying that out as a basis, I think that allowing member input, and for the last few years at least, I don't think it's dragged the meetings out too long for the most part. So, that's my position. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any hands. I'll let Maria go first and then you can, Chuck.
I also agree with Dan. For me personally, I don't hear about a lot of stuff until I'm at these meetings, especially with regard to Community Council, because I can't attend their meetings. So I think it's a nice thing to be able to provide input of whatever the situation is. Like, for example, I would not have gotten on board to help with Fort Clark Days if I was continuing to think there was no Fort Clark Days. And I didn't know there was no Fort Clark Days until I was at this meeting and Community Council spoke. So I think there's value added to it, but definitely policing it, which Ms. Bernard, you do a great job of doing. So I think it's value added from us out here.
Thank you. I should have said that Debbie got to go before you. She had her hand up first.
Well, my point is, if you're
you require people to go to have a voice at all, I mean, you've got this meeting, you've got your other volunteer stuff on Saturdays, then you never have a Saturday for yourself because it's all taken up with something with Fort Clark no matter what. So if you want a voice and you have to go to community council, that's not fair.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, I understand that, it's just that we have all sat here in some meetings, but we didn't get out until noon because of community, because of big discussions, you know, on a topic. And that was the driving factor. However, there is something else that we must consider, and that is that the 501c3 that the community council holds, if in the past 2 meetings we have had, 11 people show up?
11 people and 14, and that included the officers.
And that included the officers. If community council falls for lack of participation, we lose that 501c3, which knocks out Fort Clark Days, the bingo, the movie, the whole, a lot that goes on. We have to have better participation at community council and people willing to run for office.
It is hard. When you meet is a difficult thing. As Dan said, we're right in the midst of preparing our agenda when you're meeting.
Yes.
So it's too late by the time you have your meeting and get to us with it, I think. Go ahead if you have more.
Well, no, that's about it. It's just that I see value in both ways, but I also have to see that community council is a very valuable thing. That 501c3 is worth its weight in gold.
I agree. I do agree. Is that maybe what we really need is how to keep community council vibrant instead of how to avoid making this meeting longer. And maybe, I don't know if you need the audience here to throw in some suggestions on that. Oh, now the hands go up. Judy?
The idea of having members' concerns gathered at the Saturday before the board meeting is that you would get a report before the board agenda was set as to what the members are stewing about that they would like the board to address. So that was the whole point. Get it to the board before the agenda is set on Wednesday. It makes that opportunity possible. And then you know. Now, could community council meeting time be changed from the Saturday morning to, say, an afternoon or evening meeting during the week? I don't know that we have a huge objection to that, but there are a bunch of us that are going off that board simply because there's no purpose.
That's worrisome. And maybe we have volunteers here that would like to be on that board. Don't all speak at once on that one. Debbie?
My whole thing is there's got to be a way to get the younger family members in on community council. They're the ones that everything is being given to. I mean, trying to pull them in. So you need those parents and stuff in on these meetings, and what can you do to bring those younger families into the community council board and things? Couldn't agree more.
Maria, go ahead.
Well, I am one of those younger families, and speaking on behalf of that population, one of the biggest constraints is a Saturday morning, because you're feeding your kids. Like my sweet husband is over there every Saturday I'm here. He's taking care of the kids, grumpy because he wants to go do something manly. And then during the evening time, that's usually, a lot of moms are stay-at-home moms. So in the evening time, you're crushed for, okay, 5 o'clock, you gotta have dinner done, then bath time, then bedtime, get kids ready for school the next day. What my suggestion would possibly be is if you want to get a younger crowd, make a way for using facilities like the, what's it? Art Center, not the Art Center.
The adult center?
The teen center. Make that venue maybe your meeting point, and then have somebody there to play with kids so that young families can go during the day, like 10 o'clock in the morning on a weekday. And I know there's some shaking of heads, but the way you're going to get a younger crowd is you've got to appeal to the stay-at-home moms who are sitting there wondering, why isn't there anything for us to do on the sport? And then they find out after the fact, because they're upset. They're like, well, shoot, I wish I could have helped with that, because I really think this would have been a better way of doing this. So my suggestion is potentially, consider having a venue where you can have kids off to the side in a room with somebody to play with, and crafts for children are very easy. We do it all the time in playgroups. And I'd even be happy to host a playgroup, and you have your meeting, and I can attend your meeting. But it's very difficult for young families because of the child factor. But all the school-age kids are at school, so you got to have something for a toddler to do. And that would be my suggestion. I'm happy to help you figure that out, but that is my constraint, and that's why I kind of started.
Okay, and we've got to find a time when you can meet with community council, so
Right,
the community council needs to work on that. Did you have something else? You see?
Well, I just think I'd say further that I don't think the criteria for cutting off the members' access to the directors should be the health of the community council. That's not to say we're not concerned about the health of the community council, but I don't know the solution is to cut off the members and not receive input from them. The solution may be somewhere else and has to be searched for to find out what can be done to increase that. Otherwise, it ends up acting also as an insulating factor, insulating the board from the members. And as I understood many years ago under Mendelsohn, when the community council was developed, it was developed precisely for that purpose, was to insulate Mr. Mendelsohn from the members who were unhappy, to protect him from that. And I don't think we want that, but whether it was or not is probably immaterial, but that's one of the reasons I heard for it. But I'm all for members having input limited, because it is a board meeting.
Go ahead, Gordon.
When I first got here, they used to have a group for the community council used to go out and pick up trash. They'd come back and have a meal. I can't remember what they call it.
Cavalry Brigade.
But anyway, they could do that and hold their meeting then. I suggest.
We had it for 12 years.
Okay, anyone else? Debbie, one more time.
Well, I do like the fact that member input, having a voice here to the board members. And I was on the board when they tried to do away with that. And people, you've got questions, and this may be the only, something particular comes up, you want more input on it, you should be able to ask that question at a board meeting. That's right. And I've been on both sides of that.
Yeah, I've tried to make that possible. Sometimes I'm grouchy, I know that. What's the best way to get the word out then about your next? About the newspaper obviously is one. You're not listening to me anymore. The dispatch is another way. Marquee, of course.
Community council meeting, put out the dispatch and tell people if they've got an agenda, what they're gonna talk about on that agenda.
Excellent. Okay, that's a lot of talk. If you want to see what everybody said, remember we have this on tape. Yes, sir.
I was just wondering if, since we have a 15-minute member discussion period, that would be the place to do the members' concerns after we finished our
You weren't paying attention.
agenda.
That's the community council wants. And we're all objecting.
No, I'm talking about here. The people who want to speak about the agenda do it in a 15-minute period, not during the meeting.
That's what we're objecting to.
Why?
Because this
Why?
Yes.
Your memory's not that long.
Somebody may have a point that you need to hear before y'all vote on
Our
it.
memory's not that long. Well, that's bad.
Not after the fact.
Okay, unless somebody has a really good addition here, I'm going to cut it. Oh, Ann, do you have something?
Well, I heard about,
Please,
I
when
heard
someone's
about
speaking.
the discussion about the Calvary Brigade and the community council maybe meeting together on the same Saturday. I thought that might be a good idea as to what they take back and discuss. The Calvary Brigade did a good job. They also furnished a little light lunch for the people who did this. And that, as that was going on, you had a good turnout of volunteers that would get out and pick up trash and things of that nature, whatever needed to be done, cleaning the museum and things like that. So I just thought, when I heard that statement, it might be a good thing to take back to the community council, let them rediscuss it again. And you've heard what the audience has said today, and take that into consideration. I have seen lots of things resolved with one or two members standing up and making a little input at the board meetings.
Amen.
And that just ended it. We have not had a group that tried to take over the board meeting or anything with hours of discussion, and I just think it needs to be discussed a little further.
Amen.
Okay, Chuck, if you do this, would you consider calling it something else? It took me years to find out what Cavalry Brigade was. And I was ready to help when I got here. Anyway, I'm sure other people feel the same now. We are moving on. We're moving on. We've accidentally left off the fact that we had already approved the payment for the two roofs, the art studio and the fire station?
Yes.
After they clean up their mess over there. So that's just an update. Also, these updates that we've listed, the renters workshop, we've had two. We'll probably have one more after the first of the year. One thing we all agree on, and not much else, is that we need to, what's the word? Everybody needs to know who the renters are. We need to have them listed. Say it again? Registration. We need to have them registered. That was an easy word that I couldn't remember. Yes, registration of the renters was one of the things that everybody thought was important, especially security, especially those people who had problems with them. Point?
Approximately how many renters do we have on the board?
We have no idea.
We have no idea. Okay, I'm just wondering.
That's one of the questions.
That's one of the problems?
Yes. Yes, we do. And I don't think that most of them are a problem, but we do have some problems. Okay. On the bylaws, we're moving right along. Sandy, do you want to?
Sure, short but sweet. I was able to, since I'm the typist in the group, and Monique is doing like 5 different jobs, I have gotten through about 2/3 of the typing required to incorporate the changes into the bylaws, and I'm hoping that Monday I'll be able to finish that up, at which time I think we're going to have a workshop so people can add their input. These are suggestions from the board and from the committee that we're incorporating it. And I haven't been able to do anything on it this week because I use the computer our accountant uses when he's doing our financials. So I'm hoping to have that done on Monday, and then we can...
And then you can show it to me so
Yes.
I can tell you how wrong you are.
Hey, I'm typing in exactly what you told me, Mom. So anyway, that's where we are, and I'm hoping to get that done. It's looking good as far as Myrna and I, the work that we put it all in there, and it looks pretty good, but we want your input as well. So hopefully done next week.
And then we'll schedule a workshop after the first of the year again. On our financials, Dan has agreed to take the lead on that.
This should be pretty easy because I don't know very much about this. As everyone is aware, we've had problems with the systems that have been used that were supposed to have been changed some years ago, and it turns out never were. To the best of my knowledge, right now, their confirmation letters, I believe, have been sent out, or they were sent out this past week, the end of the week, that Richard referred to earlier.
Number 4 here. I want to talk about just the financials itself.
Just the financials? Well, the financials simply are is that we have received financial statements at 7 o'clock last night. They seem to be just repetitive of what we've had before, and they cannot be corrected, as I understand, until these confirmation letters come back and the whole process of changing it. I may be different than what's exists, but that's what I understand.
I would disagree with you. I think that they can be, because we've moved everything into the QuickBooks system now. But for everything prior to September 30, that still may be a little iffy. And I think that that the reports that he provided, the financials he provided, kind of reflect that there's some difficulties there. So, but he is still in the process of cleaning up, and he has to do that before the audit comes, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. I think we're going to have some clean financials here pretty soon, but I've heard that for a little while now.
Well, yes, and in order to have it, of course, we have to confirm. That's why previous balances, and that's what the confirmation.
To come forward, you're absolutely right. I'll agree with you. Now, you're right to come forward at that September 30.
So the statements we have probably reflect a good picture of our situation for the past maybe several months, but overall for the whole past period of time, not necessarily. So the answer is they're being worked at. We've got some idea, and I understand the Los Morris corporations have been corrected, and they are accurate. And I don't even know if they ever really needed any corrections.
I don't have those corrected. Do we have them corrected?
I think you have Los Morris in your.
We did not get a copy in this packet last night. But we had one previous.
Again, things came so late last
and
night.
I don't think that one was correct because it didn't show. I don't think it showed the loss that we had correcting. It was smaller than what I think we had.
Well, I think when you get into it, you're going to find out it's larger.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
The financials show a smaller loss than we actually had. So our loss was larger.
Well, at any rate, there was a loss. So beyond that, there's nothing I can report on as the financial statements we got, as you touched on in your report. There were some negative balances there that Randy indicated where there was something wrong there.
That was his comment to me.
Yeah, so that's where we stand, and hopefully very soon we'll be cleared up.
My question is, shall we continue with the outside accounting firm since if you don't get anything for a year, are we get any better than when we had somebody that didn't do it right?
Well, I think at this point in time and sitting in the turmoil or the flux situation we are would be, I think, possibly questionable to try to change a horse in midstream. And I do not feel qualified to pass judgment on the competency of Randy or that firm. I guess I would tend to go with them, hopefully get this ironed out, all these problems ironed out, straightened out, and then sit down and look at your concerns, which I'm sure are very legitimate. But
I'd like to know what we spent on getting the financials that we didn't get. That would be an interesting point. moving on. Did you have something? Sorry.
Oh, no, well, short. Yeah, I think that the changing horses in midstream doesn't make sense. Randy is familiar with all of our systems because he was our auditor at one time.
I'm sorry, but he also insists
but he's
what
not.
what we're doing forever is right, even though that's not so.
No, he's not just printing reports for us. He's actually helping clean up the system. And the thing is I think once he and the auditor and the audit comes out, then after that audit is published and the auditors had a chance to work with our financials and with our accountant, then we can probably look and see whether we need to continue with an independent accountant or whether we now have enough corrections on here that we can handle it ourselves. But to just stop it right now before it's cleaned up, I think would be make things even more difficult.
Let's move on to the audit and changes in the Sunbelt system.
Not much more to report than I had reported earlier today, and the audit, though, is on hold until those financials are cleaned up. The auditor can't come in.
If you don't say his name, he's going to be real upset because he watches these things.
Jerry Wilczek.
No, the other one.
Randy Galloway.
Keep going.
All right. I'm simply saying that as these financials are cleared up, then the auditor, the outside auditor, will be able to come in. As I said, he was here last week.
And David Barfoot is the one that got this all cleaned up so that they could use it.
I haven't gotten to the programming just yet.
I hear you, but you've passed over him twice. He watches these things because he's the one that puts them up on the...
Well, if you'll allow me, I'll get to the programming aspect of it now. Again, the auditor's standing by. He'll be coming in as soon as those financials are ready. We have gone out with the confirmation letters, and I will say this, that David Barfoot was instrumental in allowing us to get those confirmation letters out. He had to go through the entire system, and it was a very grueling process from what I understand, for him to be able to finally come upon the number of members who have multiple accounts and to be able to produce those letters for us in PDF form, and then we were able to print them. The auditor had some questions for our programmer, but the programmer, David Barfoot, was very quick to give answers and satisfy the auditor in every respect. His programming efforts continue, and it's going to be a long and drawn-out process from what I understand, but he is well on his way. I think he told me at one point, perhaps halfway through. So the programming is a tough thing to do, and yet he's on top of it. I think he's going to have a product for us that is going to work. So we have to wait.
Thank you. I can go home now. We have our famous 15-minute. We have 6 people, which gives you maybe 3 minutes apiece, and I'll be watching. Conrad.
Thank you for allowing me this opportunity today. My name is Conrad Dalton. I'm representing the Fort Clark Gun Club. I'm the president. Our lease is set to expire at the end of May 18. And so we just wanted to make sure you guys are looking at our lease. And so we have plenty of time to get that done. The other thing I wanted to say is we have our own insurance. And maybe we can help with the cannons. If we sponsor the cannons or something, maybe we could throw it under
What a
Fort
great
Clark
idea.
Gun Club event. Because Fort Clark Springs is a named insured on our insurance policy.
Fantastic.
That's an interesting concept. Let's see if we can follow through.
Okay. Thank you. I yield my time to everybody else.
Thank you.
And by the way, the board members have been provided a copy of the agreement,
And we are going to look at it, yes. Thank
If
you.
you have any questions about, I wanted to make sure you guys know that we do donate approximately $2,000 per year to the living historians, and we do pay our property taxes there, and we do pay insurance. So anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Jan?
I don't ever get anybody to go. Garland.
No complaints this time. Just on a cheerful note, the Arts and Crafts Show would like to thank Carol Ann for helping organize the Arts and Crafts Show. She was a great help, and without it, it wouldn't have been this success. And it was a success according to all the vendors. I would personally like to thank Philip for getting his crew to help move the toilets up to the second floor of the art club, because I had to get them off the shelf in Home Depot, and my back paid for it for 2 days. Anyway, thank you very much.
Linda?
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi. Linda O'Brien for
Do you
the.
mind coming up here so that we can get you on the camera?
Yeah.
Like, nobody can hear you, Linda.
Oh, come on, you got to.
My voice carries better.
Right.
She isn't really the president of the board, though.
Good morning. I just want to say thank you, Conrad, for that contribution. I convinced him we were having a 4 o'clock date, and we are. I would just like to say that the horse club is moving forward. We've done some cleaning up. We have a whole lot more cleaning up to do. We're excited Ann's going to be working with us on our committee.
Get closer to the mic so we can hear you. No, you don't.
Debbie can't hear you, we know you can't speak.
We are having a committee meeting, the committee that the board asked us to form on January 8th, and we finally have agreement that we all can do this. And we have a lot to discuss. Some of it will be difficult, and we're hoping to do it in such a manner that we can come to term, something that we're all happy with, yet puts the horse club in a better place. We do want to do a lot of work, and we thank the fort for removing 9,000 tons of brush that we've already removed. That looks a whole lot better. The sign is being refurbished by Joe. I do have a question. Do you want to see the horse club meeting on a monthly basis under the committees, or would you prefer that we just stop in when we have something important to say?
I kind of like to have you here so that you, so that there's,
continuity?
if there's a question, yeah, and maybe you don't have anything to say that day, but I doubt it. I mean, you guys are always busy over there.
Yeah, let's make a distinction between the Horse Club and the Equine Committee. The committee, I think, should be on agenda probably every month. And
So would it be the horse club committee that would be on the agenda? That's my question.
it is a equestrian committee. It is a board committee.
Okay.
So
So that
that's
would be-
separate and apart from the Horse Club.
Right,
So the
and that's the
committee
group
should
that's gonna meet on the bylaws. So if you want that in there, I would be happy to put it in there, and I will make sure that someone is here to have something to say.
That would be wonderful. Thank
Yes,
you.
we'd like to be part of the community a little bit more. We've kind of like been off in the corner doing our thing, and now I'd like to see us have open houses at some point. Let the members come in and see what we're doing and answer questions. That happens. Maybe it happens. I can't remember anymore on Fort Clark days, but I'm hoping it's going to happen this year.
That'd be great. Yeah.
And the other thing that we wanted to say was we have an ongoing, everyday production of manure, and it is available for the taking by anyone who'd like to take it. The more we can get taken away, the better. So that's it. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Linda. Woody? I don't know which one, you didn't say.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
First, I want to thank every veteran here for your service to our country. Thank you. I'm Woody Trotter. I live in Unit 21, but have a house in Unit 1. But my concern is at the main gate today. And I hope this is a positive response. When we come in late at night, we used to have lights on the billboard. There aren't any lights on the billboard that tells you what's going on. And it would really be helpful if you had lights on the billboard. And also, when they had the historical meeting.
What are you talking about? The marquee, is that?
The marquee, yeah, billboard, marquee, whatever. But also the sign for advertising for the historical committee Christmas party. There were some members complaining the way it was set up. It was confusing. So they need to be very concise on the information that is put on the billboard, or I call it billboard. And then also, my concern is when you're coming into the fort, that beautiful horse statue, which was donated by L.B. and Ralph Beard, I would like to see a plaque put there in their memory because they donated that to the fort. It has a McClellan saddle on it, and those are very, very expensive. But when you come in at night, the floodlights are gold. But you can't see the horse. And they need to have a big white floodlight in front of that horse so that horse can be seen. And that's another concern.
What are you doing out so late that you're coming in?
Well, Myrna, when does the sun go down now? 5:30, 6 o'clock?
Right. You're right.
So it gets dark.
You know what time I go
in
to
the
bed.
afternoon. But we come and we go, but it's dark by the time it's 6 o'clock. It's dark, but you can't read the billboard, or the marquee, or whatever you want to call it. And so that is a concern of mine. It would be very helpful because when we're coming in daylight, we're trying to read what's going on. We're holding up traffic. But, if you have lights on it as you're coming in, you can read it without really blocking any traffic. Thank you.
Thank you. Good points, though. You're right. I have come in later than 6. Kathy, did you have something?
Yeah, it's just the calendar of the day. Oh, God, we're all getting older. Oh, hi. Good morning. It's question and answer time. Woody was saying something about the marquee, and the same thing. It seems like we go through sessions where there's a lot of stuff on the marquee, and it takes a lot of time to read it. Then other times there's just nothing. Like today, there was just the board meeting. Maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe for the survey, if you could, when it's empty like that, if you could just put an announcement, membership survey available, and pick up at the administration office, and maybe people will pick it up then and put that one in. You might get a little bit more response, because the marquee's empty like now. Okay, second one. I only got 3 quick ones, Myrna. Is there a chance that the bar could maybe, I hate using the term, kind of go for bar food and maybe have hot dogs or a hamburger or a microwave?
We're moving that direction.
Good. There you go. Bar food's really simple and easy. That would get people in.
We have a little problem with TABC that we kind of have to...
As long as it's not an entree, we can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's pretty...
That's a questionable thing on a hot dog.
It's finger food. Well, okay, and if you go to the movies, like Richard goes and other people, that's called movie food.
Yeah, there you go. No, we're working on it.
Okay, good. My third one's a little bit more involved because obviously you know I'm very concerned about delinquency and fiduciary responsibilities. Richard, you said that there were like 160 delinquents and they total about 294,000.
Yeah.
And of the 160, 70 of them are responsible for 254,000?
Correct.
And I'm assuming that these are property owners or residents?
Yes.
And you don't think we're going to collect anything on these guys?
I didn't say that.
Oh,
I think you said there might be a likelihood we won't get them.
That we would not collect all of it.
So what is, I know you, this is Texas, go
Yeah,
ahead.
What I'm saying is that we are gonna make every effort to collect everything that we can, but I doubt very seriously we will collect the full amount. And even then, there's a process for first lien holding and then foreclosure.
And you have to contend with this Texas homeowners thing and all that other
That's
junk.
We're working on it. That's the point to be made. And already, as I said, in the months of October, November of this year, we have doubled the collections, $61,000 in 2 months collecting delinquencies.
Okay.
We're working on it.
Yeah, I'll never understand this homeowners association, but no, yeah, it's too bad. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh. Hey, that was pretty quick, Smyrna.
Yes, excellent. And so there are people who think they should have the rest of your time. Okay, Dick.
I heard horse manure, and I've talked about taking all of the grass clippings and all the leaves off by the golf course where we have excess water and starting to compost. And we could certainly use the results of it if it takes a year, 2 years to get it. And it costs a lot of money to drive those trucks out and over to the dump. And then we're filling up our landfill, so I'd like to have you take a look at compost on the golf course where we have excess water and horse manure.
We got horse
Those two
manure.
mix good.
That somes like a very good idea. Thank
It
you.
looks like you ought to talk to each other.
Yeah.
The manure situation has been looked at before, but there's nobody that's wants to put the water on it to ferment it through the summer months. And so it died because of lack of volunteerism.
Yeah, they were trying to do it at the,
Well, the key is water.
Yes.
Water's expensive, and the best water source we have is right at the golf course. And right now, we've got excess water. If you keep compost piles wet, that stuff will rot.
and stink too, you know?
Horses
Okay,
don't
Woody,
stink.
you were on the list. Go ahead.
Marna, I just wanted to clarify something about Calvary. This was a Calvary post in 1852. That's where we got the name Calvary Brigade.
It's
And
cavalry, please.
Cavalry.
Cavalry.
And well, that's the way I say it.
I
Well,
understand.
anyway, that you had. We had a general ahead of it. You had brigades, and brigades make up. Well, all the military men know that
You're teaching
battalions
me.
make up brigades. But that's where they got cavalry.
No, I
brigades,
understand.
because you live on a military post, and they wanted to. Promote
Totally
that.
understand. You're teaching me now what I wanted to know years ago. Thank you. Go ahead, Woody.
Wiley Simmons gave us the name Cavalry Brigade. We were a cleanup group, and we had it for 12 years. Well, I did, and so did Wiley. When he resigned, I said, if you resign, I resign. Some other people took over, and it just went down. But we put it in the paper. We had bulletins put up all over the fort, and we had a wonderful turnout. We didn't have as many as 44.
Yeah, and a bunch of us still can no longer walk it, so I guess. Go ahead, Bob.
If the cavalry brigade was reestablished, I would be one of the first ones to volunteer. I can walk, and I've got a golf cart to carry trash.
And you still do it even though they don't have a cavalry brigade, I'd like to point
I'll say
out.
something about that.
Go ahead.
I took over from Wiley and Woody, my husband and I did, and we continued Cavalry Brigade for another 4 years. Then administration changes and maintenance changes. We now have a maintenance crew that's doing its job. Cavalry Brigade is not as necessary as it used to be. And it was voted by community council to cease doing it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Go ahead, Bob.
I will still, when the north wind blows, we get quite a collection right along the fence. And I really don't mind picking that up. I suspect probably in the spring and summer and early fall, the creek is a little warmer to walk through to pick up that trash. But, We used to have, for instance, 12-foot poles for the net to pick up the stuff, especially the styrofoam, the plastic bags, and
Yeah.
up here they're almost daily.
So maybe community council might want to think about it again.
And just reestablish it.
The poles and nets were last seen in
Okay.
chapter one.
We're still there.
Going to cut you off in about 5 minutes here, so speak quickly.
I only talked for 2 minutes anyhow. Anyhow, when we did the whole thing like that, we went around, we picked all the crap and the styrofoam cups and the bottled beers that can fly really far out of a car. I don't know how a bottled beer can do that. But that was mainly what we did alongside the creek and alongside the pool, Other than that, it was great. And it didn't get much better than that. I am so sorry. It was just phenomenal.
I think so too.
But that's it. Thank you.
Linda?
One more quick comment. The horse club respectfully submits that horse poop does not stink.
Horse poop is not what?
Does not stink.
Has the aroma of road apple.
Very valuable.
Yes.
Extremely valuable.
That is a free asset.
It smells good to some people at least. Thank you. This has been one of my better meetings. Thank you. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas. It's 10:56, so we are going into executive session. We may not last long on that, but we're going there. It's 11:54 and we're back from executive session. During our executive session, we discussed the gun club contract. We did not complete our discussion. We will be, I think, asking you to come in and work with a couple of board members and Richard.
Okay, sure.
Okay. We also discussed some other member issues. And we decided to give the contract for the ballots this year to the Valdez Genfin accounting services out of Eagle Pass. We want to make sure that they understand what our requirements are, but they had the lowest bid of $1,000. So we're going to see if they could do it this year. Anything else that I've missed? Okay. Oh, gee. I forgot to get my paper out. The next meeting is January 20th at 9 a.m. in this board room. And I'm still going to try to get it out of here before noon. It's 11:56. We are adjourned.
I put the survey that Kathy Warren.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Yes.
I hope you feel better.
Oh, yeah.
Me too. Oh, yeah.
Let's be in touch.
Well, hold the cipher, like hold it there so you'll be well and you've got well.
I think I do. Yeah, I like that.